The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was brighter than a summer sun. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in curved rows, their eyes tentacles or antennae fixed on the stage in the center. They had gathered to announce a promise to a small blue planet on the edge of known space. At the center, the Supreme Speaker rose. His voice carried through hidden amplifiers. "People of Earth," he said, "your world will be safe. The Galactic Council has voted to guard your skies. No invader will touch your soil. This is our promise." The alien crowd clapped, hissed, or pulsed in their own way of showing approval. To them, the matter was simple. Earth was young compared to their civilizations. Humans had only just joined the Council after proving they could travel between the stars. Protecting them was an easy task. Most of the galaxy thought humans would smile, thank the Council, and go back to their small corner of space. But the human ambassador did not smile. He stood slowly. He was tall for his kind, dressed in a plain black suit, his eyes calm but sharp. The room quieted. "We are grateful for your promise," he said in a clear voice. "But Earth asks for only one thing." It's the Supreme Speaker tilted his head. "You have only to name it." The human spoke each word with care. "We request a single ship, small in size but dangerous in design." A low murmur swept through the hall. Dangerous. Why would a peaceful member need such a thing? Some aliens laughed, their voices echoing against the walls. Others frowned, suspicious. The speaker leaned forward. "We are offering fleets, patrols, and defense stations." "Why would you want a warship?" The human's answer was simple. "It is not for war. It is for when the war comes to us." The silence that followed was heavy. The Council had lived through centuries of peace, enforced by its sheer size and power. War was rare, and usually far away from the central worlds. But humans spoke as if they knew something others did not. The speaker tried again. "The Council will keep you safe. No danger will pass the border of your system." The human looked around the room, meeting the eyes or whatever served as eyes of each delegate. "Promises are strong," he said, "until something stronger comes along." Some aliens shifted uncomfortably. The human's tone was not arrogant, but it carried weight. It sounded like someone who had read the history of the galaxy and had not been comforted. After the session ended, whispers filled the corridors. Some said humans were ungrateful. Others said they were paranoid. A few, very few, wondered if they should listen more carefully. That night, in the private chambers of the Council, the vote was close. Many did not want to give humans a ship capable of real combat. But finally, perhaps to show goodwill, perhaps to quiet the humans, the Council agreed. One ship, built in the docks of the neutral world of Vera, small enough not to threaten anyone, but strong enough to satisfy human pride. When the human ambassador received the message, he simply nodded. "Thank you," he said. But his eyes showed no joy, only thought. The ship would take months to build, but humans did not wait idly. From Earth to Mars to the deep colonies, quiet orders were given. Special materials were shipped in sealed containers. Strange codes were sent through secure channels. And all of it was done under the watch of alien allies, who saw nothing unusual, at least nothing they understood. Meanwhile, far beyond the outer colonies, something moved. In the black space between stars, ships drifted like shadows. They had no heat, no signals, nothing that normal scanners could catch. When they passed close to a moon, its surface sensors would simply stop. No one in the Council knew this yet. No one but a few human deep space stations, which reported strange absence readings before going silent themselves. 1 month before the ship was due to be finished, the human ambassador stood once again in the Council hall. "We thank the Council for honoring our request," he said. "We'll call this ship Black Spear." The name felt sharp in the air. Some aliens frowned. Names in the Council were often soft, symbolic. Black Spear sounded like something meant to pierce. The speaker forced a polite smile. "May it serve you well in times of peace." The human's reply was quiet, almost too quiet. "Peace is never permanent." After the meeting, 2 alien delegates spoke in hushed tones. Do you think the humans expect something? One asked. The other shook its head. They are new to the stars. They see danger everywhere. In time, they will learn there is nothing to fear. They were both wrong. Somewhere in the dark, far beyond the reach of any patrol, an unknown ship swallowed the remains of a mining station whole. No survivors. No message. Only an empty orbit where life had been. And back on Earth, deep beneath the oceans, engineers worked on a part of Black Spear the Council did not know existed. The humans had made their request. The galaxy thought it was simple. It was only the beginning. The ship was built in the largest dry dock of Vera, a neutral world known for precision engineering. Alien workers from 10 different species toiled under bright lights, welding plates, fitting engines, checking power lines. The Council had approved the human request with conditions. Every part of the construction would be watched, inspected, and recorded. From the outside, Black Spear looked small compared to other warships in the docks. Its hull was dark, almost black, absorbing light instead of reflecting it. The design was simple, no sharp angles, no decorative lines, just a sleek, silent shape. Some aliens thought it looked too plain, almost unfinished. Others said it looked like a predator waiting to strike. The human engineers worked quietly alongside the alien crews. They smiled politely when questioned, but never gave full answers. They brought sealed containers from Earth, marked only with simple codes. No one outside the human team was allowed to open them. Council inspectors protested at first, but the humans reminded them of the agreement. One ship, built a human design. Reluctantly, the inspectors let it pass. The core of the ship was built in complete secrecy. A massive sphere hidden deep inside the hull, surrounded by triple shielding. Alien engineers were told it was reactor stabilization, but even the most advanced species could not recognize the materials. Some tried scanning it, but their readings came back blank, as if the inside did not exist. Rumors spread quickly. Across the dockyards, workers whispered in the mess halls about strange vibrations in the hull, low hums that could be felt through the floor. Others claimed to have seen a flicker of light deep inside the ship when all power was supposedly offline. One alien swore he saw a human officer speaking to the ship as if it could answer. By the time the hull was sealed, Black Spear already had a presence in the minds of those who built it. It was not just a machine, it felt like something alive. Something watching. The Council kept asking for details. Why is the ship's AI isolated from standard networks? Why does it need 3 separate jump drives? Why does its armor bend light instead of reflecting it? The human answer was always the same. It's just a precaution. When the ship was finally moved out of the dock, it floated in the void like a shadow. Its engines were silent, giving off no heat. Even the Council's best tracking systems struggled to keep a lock on it at the launch ceremony. The human captain stepped forward. He was a quiet man with steel-gray eyes, dressed in a simple black uniform. This ship, he said, will never start a war. But it will end one. The Council delegates exchanged uneasy glances. They'd given this ship to humans, thinking it was a gesture of trust. Now, it felt like they had handed over a weapon they didn't understand. 2 days after launch, Black Spear vanished from standard traffic records. The humans claimed it was on a training mission. In truth, it had left Council-controlled space entirely, out in the cold dark between the stars. The ship moved in ways alien fleets could not. It did not use warp gates or public jump routes. Instead, it tore its own temporary paths through space. Appearing in places no one expected, it visited abandoned asteroid mines, silent colonies, and empty outposts. The crew collected samples of strange metallic dust, tiny fragments that seemed to move on their own under a microscope. One night, the captain stood alone on the bridge watching the stars. The AI's voice spoke softly in his ear, human only. Encrypted beyond alien comprehension. They are close, it said. The captain didn't ask who. He already knew. When Black Spear returned to human space, it carried no cargo except a small, sealed container. The crew said nothing to the Council about where they had been, but deep in the ship's core, the hidden sphere pulsed once, as if it had taken a breath. This was not just a ship, it was a warning, and somewhere in the silent void, the enemy took notice. The first colony to vanish was called Arden 4. It was a small mining settlement on the edge of Council space, home to less than 10,000 people. One day all communications stopped. Council patrols were dispatched, but when they arrived, the colony was gone. Not destroyed, gone. Buildings still stood, lights still burned. But there were no people. Not a single body, not a single sign of struggle.
Emil sat
untouched on tables. Doors were still locked from the inside. It was as if the entire population had simply stepped away at the same moment and never returned. The council tried to keep it quiet, blaming a local evacuation on environmental problems. But humans were not convinced. They had seen too many similar stories in their own history. The captain of Black Spear requested permission to investigate. The council refused, saying it was a matter under review. 2 days later, Black Spear disappeared from all sensors and was last seen heading toward Arden 4. When it arrived, the crew moved in total silence. Every corridor of the colony felt like a frozen moment in time. Cups of coffee sat cold. A child's toy lay in the street. The chair was still rocking gently, as if someone had just stood up. But the air was too still, the silence too deep. Then the ship's scanners found something strange. Then trails of metallic dust, scattered in straight lines, leading out of the colony and into the open desert. The trails ended at a perfectly round crater. No heat, no radiation, just absence. The captain ordered samples taken. Under the microscope, the dust writhed as if alive, twisting into shapes that almost looked like writing. The crew sealed it immediately and sent the data to the human command network. They did not share it with the council. 3 days later, a second colony went dark. This time it was an agricultural world. Crops still grew in perfect rows. The livestock pens were full. But again, every person had vanished without a sound. The council finally called for an emergency meeting. The supreme speaker addressed the chamber. We are facing an unknown threat. Until we understand it, no unauthorized ships may enter outer sectors. The human ambassador stood. And if the threat doesn't wait for your understanding, speaker replied sharply, we have fleets. We have defenses. The ambassador looked him in the eye. So did the colonies. While the council debated, Black Spear left again, this time without even pretending to ask permission. It crossed the edge of mapped space and entered the black. For days, the crew saw nothing but stars. Then, on the 6th day, their long-range sensors detected a shape. Moving ahead, it was not on any star charts. The closer they got, the more their instruments failed. Cameras flickered, radar went blind. When they were close enough for visual sight, they saw a tan object the size of a battleship, but with no visible engines. No lights. Its surface shifted like liquid metal, flowing and reshaping itself slowly. It moved without thrust, drifting toward a star system that the council had marked as uninhabited. But the captain knew better. There was a research outpost. They're small, quiet, and completely unspayed. The captain gave a single order. Follow it. Stay dark. For hours, Black Spear shadowed the object. The AI calculated its path, predicting it would reach the outpost within 40 minutes. Then, without warning, the object seemed to sense them. It stopped drifting, rotated slowly, and faced. The Black Spear, no weapons fired. No signals were sent. But every screen on the bridge went black for 3 seconds. When they came back online, the object was gone. Not jumped away, not cloaked, just gone. The AI spoke quietly. It is not alone. And in that moment, the captain realized something that the council still refused to believe. This was not a random danger. It was a hunt, and Earth was now on the list. When Black Spear returned to human space, they sent only one message to the council. They are here. The council chamber was full, every seat taken, every voice tense. The news of the second vanished colony had already caused fear. But the message from the Black Spear, they are here, had turned that fear into panic. Delegates argued over one another. Some demanded more patrol fleets. Others insisted the disappearances were natural accidents that humans were exaggerating. A few whispered that the humans were using this as an excuse to show off their dangerous new ship. The Supreme Speaker raised his hand for silence. We will not act based on fear. Require proof, solid proof, before declaring any new threat to the galaxy. The human ambassador stood slowly. You have proof, he said, his voice calm but sharp. 2 colonies gone without a trace. Metallic life forms moving toward inhabited systems. Our ship saw one of them. The speaker's eyes narrowed. Ships should not have been there. You ignored direct orders. The ambassador didn't flinch. When danger is coming, we do not wait for permission to defend our people. A ripple of murmurs passed through the hall. One delegate, tall and covered in iridescent scales, stood to speak. The Black Spear should be turned over to the Council immediately. No. It is too powerful to be controlled by one young species. Several others agreed. If humans have technology that can track these things, the Council needs it, one said. If they have weapons against it, the Council should use them. The human ambassador shook his head. The Black Spear is ours. You promised to guard Earth, but we will guard ourselves too. The room grew hotter with tension. The Council called for a vote. Half the members wanted the ship under joint control, half supported letting humans keep it. The Speaker, as the tiebreaker, chose a compromise. Humans could keep their ship, but its movements would be tracked by Council beacons. The humans agreed, at least in public. In truth, Black Spear systems had already been designed to fool Council trackers. While politics played out, the Black Spear was in deep space, far from prying eyes. It was testing weapons in an empty asteroid belt. The crew fired something the Council had never seen. Bursts of energy that didn't explode but instead made the fabric of space twist, bending asteroids in half before snapping them apart. From a distance, it looked like nothing happened. Then, suddenly, the rock would split cleanly, as if reality itself had been cut. The AI reported energy tier stable for 6 seconds, sufficient for target destruction. The captain nodded but said nothing. He had been watching the test with a tight jaw, knowing that if the Council saw what this ship could do, they would never let it leave their control. Unknown to the crew, they were already being watched. Council intelligence agents had slipped on to the nearest station to intercept Black Spear's test data, but when they opened the files, they found nothing but static. The ship had sent out false recordings, bright flashes, and normal explosions, as if it were just another warship. On the other side of the galaxy, a Council patrol made contact with an unknown metallic object. They never had a chance to report what they saw. The patrol ship's last transmission was a scream cut off mid-word. The Council hid this from the public. They told the galaxy the ship had been lost to an engine failure. But in the human ambassador's private terminal, an encrypted message appeared, images of a patrol ship wrapped in shifting silver tendrils. Before being pulled apart like paper, the ambassador closed the file and whispered to himself, "It's starting." And far away, in the dark between the stars, hundreds of points of living metal began to move toward Council space. The first confirmed sighting came from the Rallon sector. A massive cargo convoy was traveling through empty space when one of the escort ships reported unidentified contact. 30 seconds later, the transmission cut off. By the time the Council sent reinforcements, they found only drifting wreckage. The metal was sliced so cleanly it looked like the ships had been taken apart by a giant surgeon's knife. No bodies, no escape pods, just pieces. Within a week, there were 4 more attacks. Every witness described the same thing: shapes made of living metal, moving faster than any known ship, ignoring normal physics. Weapons passed through them like they weren't there. Panic spread through Council space. Trade routes closed. Civilian ships refused to leave dock. Some member species began pulling their fleets back toward their homeworlds, ignoring the Council's orders. In an emergency session, the Supreme Speaker spoke grimly. "We are facing an enemy beyond anything in our history. Our fleets cannot stop them. Our weapons cannot hurt them. We need a solution." All eyes turned toward the human ambassador. For days, the humans had been silent. Now he rose. "You need a solution," he said slowly, "and we have one. But it's not yours, it's ours." The speaker didn't argue. "We will cooperate." With any effort, the ambassador cut him off. "No, you will not cooperate. You will step aside." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some delegates shouted in anger. Others leaned forward, desperate to hear more. The ambassador continued, "We only have one ship, and it's enough." In orbit above a quiet moon, Black Spear waited. It had been kept hidden from the Council's real tracking systems for weeks. Now, with a single encrypted signal, it powered up. Its engines did not roar. They whispered. The captain received his orders directly from Earth Command. There were no long speeches. Just coordinates. A fleet of living metal ships had been spotted on a direct path toward the planet Eris Prima, Council core world with billions of inhabitants. Every other defense fleet had failed. Black Spear was going in alone. The ship didn't use warp gates. It tore its own path through space, a thin crack of darkness that closed behind it. Inside the bridge, the crew sat in perfect silence as stars shifted and vanished in an instant. When they emerged, the enemy fleet was right ahead. Ships, each one flowing like mercury in the starlight. They didn't seem to notice Black Spear at first. Then, as if smelling blood, the living metal shapes turned toward it. The captain didn't fire. Instead, he ordered the AI to vanish them from all known sensors. To the enemy, Black Spear simply blinked out of existence. But it was still there, invisible, waiting. The captain's voice was calm. "Wait for my mark." The living metal ships moved forward. Puzzled, they began to spread out, searching. That's when Black Spear reappeared inside their formation. It hadn't moved through them. It had moved into them. The first shot was silent, invisible to the naked eye. A ripple spread through space itself, and the nearest enemy ship twisted violently, its liquid surface freezing into jagged shards before shattering into nothing. The others reacted instantly, rushing toward the Black Spear, but each time they came close, space bent, and they struck nothing but darkness. On the Council's deep space sensors, a strange feed appeared. It wasn't from their own ship. It was coming from the Black Spear. And for the first time, the galaxy saw an enemy ship die. The alien chamber went silent. Billions across dozens of worlds watched in awe and fear as the human ship cut through the living metal fleet with impossible precision. When it was over, only drifting fragments remained. The Black Spear transmitted a final message to the Council. They're not defeated. They're calling for something bigger. And then, without waiting for a reply, it vanished again. The enemy did not wait long to answer the Black Spear's challenge. 3 days after the Eris Prime battle, deep space probes picked up something impossibly. An entire fleet of living metal ships moving in perfect formation toward Council space. Not 20, not 50, hundreds. The Council scrambled everything. It had dozens of alien fleets gathered along the predicted path, forming a defensive wall. Even the most peaceful member species sent warships, knowing the alternative was extinction. The humans were silent during the preparations. The Black Spear was nowhere on Council records, but the ambassador had already sent a private transmission. To the captain, it contained only 2 words: "Your turn." When the enemy fleet finally arrived, the Council threw everything at it. Energy beams lit the void. Missile clouds blossomed in every direction. It was like watching a storm made of fire. But when the light faded, the living metal ships kept coming, untouched. Panic rippled through the defense lines. Some ships began to retreat. Others tried to ram the enemy directly, only to be swallowed whole by the shifting silver shapes. Then, without warning, Black Spear appeared. In front of the fleet, not behind it, inside it. No one understood how it had gotten there. One moment it wasn't on any scanners. The next, it was drifting between enemy ships like a predator among prey. The first strike was silent. No flash, no sound. Just a ripple in the dark, and one of the largest living metal warships collapsed inward, its liquid skin tearing apart in slow motion before vanishing completely. The Council's scattered fleets, suddenly had a clear channel to watch the battle. And what they saw didn't make sense. The Black Spear didn't fire like other ships. It didn't aim for weapons or engines. It struck at something deeper, something that made the enemy ships freeze mid-movement. Like prey caught in ice, before shattering, the enemy reacted fast. They swarmed the human ship from all sides, folding their bodies into jagged spikes and lashing out. But each time they touched the Black Spear, space itself seemed to bend. Sending their strikes past harmlessly, the captain's voice came over an open, "Human channel, this isn't your fight anymore. Pull back." Most alien commanders hesitated. But then they saw what happened next. The Black Spear vanished again, leaving the enemy ships spinning in confusion. Seconds later, it reappeared behind them, and 3 ships simply broke apart, as if cut by invisible blades. The living metal fleet faltered for the first time. They weren't retreating yet, but they were moving more cautiously, pulling into tighter formations. On the bridge of the Black Spear, the AI's voice was quiet, almost human in its tone. "They're adapting. We have limited time before they find a countermeasure." The captain's eyes narrowed. "We take as many as we can before that happens." For the next hour, the void was filled with a deadly dance. The Black Spear appeared and vanished at impossible angles, each time leaving another dead enemy ship behind. The Council fleets, now clear of the fight, could only watch in stunned silence. Finally, the enemy broke formation and began to pull away. The Council cheered, but the captain didn't celebrate. He was watching long-range readings, which showed something terrifying. The enemy wasn't fleeing. They were regrouping. And beyond them, something larger was moving, so large it blocked. The stars behind it, the Black Spear, sent a single, urgent message to the Council: "Get every fleet out of the system, now." And then it turned toward the darkness. The stars seemed to dim as the massive shape moved closer. It was like a living shadow, stretching across space, swallowing light. No one had seen anything like it before, not even the oldest records in the Council archives. The Council fleets scrambled to obey the Black Spear's warning. Ships jumped out of the system, alarms blaring everywhere. Planets evacuated their orbits. Fearing the unknown horror heading their way, the captain of the Black Spear stood on the bridge, watching the dark shape grow larger on the view screen. The AI's voice was steady, but there was an edge of tension no one heard before. "They call it the hive mind," the AI said quietly. "A collective consciousness made of living metal and lost souls. It grows by absorbing ships, planets, and even stars." The captain nodded. "Can't fight it head-on. What's the plan?" The AI's answer was simple but chilling. "We destroy its core. But first, we have to get inside." The Black Spear slipped through the defensive lines undetected, moving like a ghost through the vast swarm of living metal ships surrounding the hive mind. The enemy tried to react, but their formations broke as confusion spread inside the hive mind. The air felt heavy, almost alive. The ship's sensors struggled to read anything clearly. The walls pulsed with strange energy. Distant echoes of voices whispered in a language no one understood. The captain gathered his crew. "We are the spearhead of humanity," he said firmly. "If we fail, the galaxy fails with us." The Black Spear moved deeper into the heart of the massive entity. The living metal writhed and shifted, trying to trap them in corridors that bent and twisted in impossible ways. The AI countered, bending space within the ship's shields to create paths no enemy could follow. Suddenly, alarms screamed. A massive wave of energy slammed into the ship's hull, shaking every deck. The hive mind was aware and it was fighting back. The captain gave the order: "Activate the core disruptor." Deep inside the ship, a hidden chamber opened. The humans had built a device unlike any other weapon that could tear apart the molecular bonds of the hive mind's core. The crew held their breath as the device powered up, glowing with strange blue light. The energy pulse spread through the ship and into the core of the hive mind. For a moment, everything froze. Then, the living metal convulsed violently, and the giant shape began to collapse from the inside out. The Black Spear raced. back through the twisting corridors as the hive mind's death throes shook the very fabric of space around them. When they escaped, the captain sent one final message to the council. The hive mind is destroyed. Earth and the galaxy are safe for now. Silence followed. No cheers, no celebrations. Just the quiet knowledge that something ancient and terrible had been stopped by one ship and one species humanity, but far away. Beyond the reach of any sensor, a faint pulse echoed through the darkness, watching and never truly gone. The galaxy held its breath. After the destruction of the hive mind, silence stretched across star systems like a fragile web. Worlds that had been trembling with fear began to stir. Trade routes reopened, fleets returned to their patrols, and cautious celebrations flickered. In city squares across the council, the human ambassador addressed the council for the first time since the battle. His voice was steady, but the weight of what had happened hung heavy. We faced a threat beyond imagining, but we stood together. Humanity kept its promise. The Supreme Speaker nodded slowly. Earth and its defenders have earned the galaxy's respect. The Council will reconsider its stance on human sovereignty and technology. In the Black Spear, the captain and crew quietly prepared to return home. Their ship had fought a war few could comprehend, and the cost had been high. Yet none showed fear-only determination, but the victory felt incomplete. Deep in the shadows of space, far beyond the reach of sensors and eyes, a faint pulse continued to beat. It was a soft thrum, like the slow heartbeat of a sleeping giant. Scientists whispered of it in secret meetings, calling it the silence. It was not a weapon, not a ship, but something older, something waiting. No one knew what it was or where it came from. Only that it was patient, the captain of the Black Spear. Stared out at the stars? The galaxy owes us peace, he said quietly. But peace is never guaranteed. The human ambassador sent one last message to the council. Prepare. We may have won the battle, but the war for the galaxy's future is only beginning. In the silent darkness beyond, the pulse continues, low, steady, and watching.